I'm A.
And welcome back to our channel.
We're gonna be eating some bomb breakfast.
We have an all-American breakfast today. We have some eggs, some over medium eggs, some hash brown, some bacon, some sausage, and some toast. I got some orange juice.
And I got some coffee because I need to wake up.
So we're gonna start eating.
Yeah, let me get a hash brown. I made it all. She didn't help me.
I made the eggs.
Oh well, thanks.
And for today's video, we're gonna talk about the Roswell incident. Roswell incident.
Which one's my bacon? We like our bacon different.
I like mine.
She says it's supposed to be like burnt. I like mine like.
I don't like mine burnt. Chewy. I like mine crispy. I don't like mine chewy at all.
How do you guys think it should be done, man?
It needs to be crispy. Crispy bacon.
No, it has to look like this. Look.
That's chewy. That's not undercooked to me.
Hell no.
I'm supposed to hear the crunch.
You're supposed to be able to chew into it.
No. Crispy bacon. I'm gonna put some ketchup on my egg. And to start off today's story, or incident, yeah. We're going back all the way to 1947.
Wow.
So in June of 1947, there was like a reported crash. There was just like witnesses saying there was like a loud bang or a crashing noise. But in July of 1947, a farmer decided to travel to the crash site, and he found some debris. So he picked it up and he took it to his
local sheriff. Cause he saw something strange, you know. It was like he thought it was weird material, something he'd probably never seen before. I mean, to go to the sheriff, you would think like something must have been off at that point.
Something weird, because he was concerned enough to take it to the sheriff. So the sheriff called like a lieutenant or the sergeant in the Air Force, because this is like, there was an Air Force close to where the crash happened, and the Air Force sent out an intelligence officer to investigate the crash, to study the debris, to see what it was or what was the crash.
Which I think that person also thought it was weird, right? Because like they kept going through they went through the whole step and ladder of like power, I guess, in that area. So it was like the sheriff, then the sheriff went to his sergeant, then the sergeant went to a lieutenant. And I feel like they all agreed that it was something like weird. It was like a flying saucer. Right, that's what they called it.
Yeah, so after the lieutenant, I mean the intelligence officer studied the debris, and with the crash, they released in the newspaper press conference that they had a flying saucer in their possession. Like,
to say that with the complete certainty, like we have it in our possession.
That means that they found it and took it, right?
And had it.
And had it. Not that they
or that they think it's a saucer or something. They didn't say we think. We have.
We have a flying saucer in our possession. So.
Those are pretty strong allegations.
Yeah, like claims that you have a flying saucer, right? So that same day, I think it was a lieutenant from like Texas, wanted all the crash debris and everything sent to him so he can study it and look at it. So after he looked at it, they released another press conference saying that it was not a flying saucer. What actually they had found was a weather balloon that had crashed.
All of a sudden. All of a sudden they changed their mind. So well, everyone just started flipping the story from there on, right? So that guy started saying like, oh, you know what? It wasn't a flying saucer. It was a balloon. And like, I think weather balloons hadn't even been, or it wasn't a weather, was it a weather balloon? Or?
Yeah, it was a weather, that's what they claim, it was a weather balloon.
A weather balloon or whatever. But I don't, were they using them already at that time?
Yeah.
Or it was years after?
No, they were using them.
Okay. But although they were saying it was weather balloons, there was also like some alien bodies, I guess, that were found near the crash site, right?
Mm-hmm. But you're skipping a part. So when the lieutenant from Texas said that it was a weather balloon, they took pictures and they had the farmer and the intelligence officer go back so they can take pictures with the debris that they both claim was supposedly a flying saucer. And I think this was just done to kind of like give credibility to their story, like, oh, here are the two men that claimed it was something else with us now agreeing that it's a weather balloon.
Yeah. Almost forced to say like it's a weather balloon.
Yeah. And then shortly after that whole incident, the farmer bought a new truck, quit his job, and moved out of the city or the town to start a new career. He was gonna start a business or something.
Yeah, he started a business, I believe.
Yeah, so, and then according to like family members, he had been
I think he had been detained by the local military. Probably to be questioned and threatened or something.
Yeah, so it's kind of like suspicious, like what, all of a sudden you change your story, you got in your truck and you moved.
Something's off.
Yeah, something was weird. And then there was witnesses saying that they had seen,
oh, like alien bodies. They had seen alien bodies supposedly, and then like even or I think this one lady came out saying that she worked at the hospital in the military base, and that she saw 3 doctors working on what looked like to be skinny bodies with spidery arms and big heads. So, which we all know is like the perfect depiction of an alien.
Yeah.
So, you know, she said like, how do you explain that? You know, that, so like there was 2 stories going against each other. The original story, and then the one that the military, or I would say the government or whatever, was trying to throw out there, like, no, it's this. Like, they had something to say for everything. They said that those alien-like creatures or whatever, excuse me, they said those were dummies, I believe. Because in the 1950s, they started throwing these dummies with the balloons, like to test human, like, parachuting.
Yeah.
But again, this situation wasn't in 1950, it was in 1947. Mm-hmm. So they were like, you guys didn't start doing that until 1950. How is it possible that in 1947 there was dummies? This is what that wasn't like something that they did yet.
So then the government answer to that was that after so many years, because they came out with that story like in the 1990s, that's what people were confusing. But they're saying that it's been so long that people were compressing the timeline and confusing what they saw in the 1950s to like putting it together with what happened in 1947. So that's what their answer to why people were seeing the bodies. But yet all the witnesses that saw the bodies had a similar description, and they were all saying that they were small, like skinny with big heads, and like 4 feet tall. And the dummies that the government used during the 1950s were like 6 feet tall.
I believe they even had military like scaring the people, like to not be saying stuff, you know, maybe using a scare tactic. They would like ease the whole story like from getting out there again. They were silencing the people pretty much. So they did, obviously we're trying to avoid it becoming relevant again, I guess, because it was what, like 50 years later that they brought it back up.
Yeah, so everything kind of stayed that way. People believed the story of the weather balloon, but like in the 1970s, the intelligence officer that was the first one to examine the crash, he came out and said he still believed that what he found, the debris that he found was not from a weather balloon and it was from something else. He said that the material was very thin, like foil, but it was hard to bend, and even a sledgehammer would bounce off of it when you would try to hit it. And this guy was also like an expert in aircraft and aircraft materials, so it was kind of like question, like how can this person that's such an expert in this particular topic.
Like that's his area, you know, like he knows aircraft materials. Like I guess he was like the
part expert
of it, you know?
Yeah, so he was an expert. How could this expert in this particular area confuse weather balloon material with an a flying saucer material?
Like he knew his stuff, and he knew what he was looking at was not material ever used on any aircrafts that they had nearby, and like definitely not from a weather balloon. Like
he said it was like not human.
Yeah. Like imagine that thin like foil but indestructible. Like we would have pretty good phone cases by now. They're like bad phones, you know.
Yeah. And then another lieutenant during, I think it was like the 1970s or 1980s as well, he passed away, and he had like a file that he said he wanted people to open when he passed. So after he passed, they went ahead and opened that file. And he claimed that the photo that they took of the farmer and the intelligence officer with the weather balloon was a hoax, that the real materials that were found in the crash were actually switched out for weather balloon materials. So it was kind of
so it went from like these metal or like weird material scraps to like like wood, and I don't know, it was just, you could tell they were trying to cover something up. But did the rancher ever come out?
Well, supposedly there was an interview that the farmer had done, a radio interview where he described the debris and what he believed was like the flying saucer and everything that he saw. But the radio station had got several calls from the government not to air. And
what are they called?
FCC?
The damn FCC?
Yeah, so he got several calls from the FCC and the government not to air the interview, so he didn't.
There should have been like Family Guy and aired it anyways. So again, these scare tactics. To avoid that getting out there, like to me, if something is not true, like when people are talking about you, right, a rumor, and it's not true, you kind of like blow it off and you're like, whatever, you know, let them talk, like it's not true. And that's how I feel like the government should have been like, if it's not true, like why are you guys trying so hard to like, oh, don't talk about it, you know what I mean? Like why would you try so hard to not talk about it? Like it's not true. Like let it be a what is it, conspiracy theory. And don't be given us more to talk about. But they tried really hard, and I think they did do a good job.
Yeah, so then in the 90s, was a senator or congressman that was put in office set out like an order for them to investigate the files and everything to make sure that
to reinvestigate the whole case.
Yeah,
reopen the case to see it was legit.
And he wanted to see if the material, or the debris, or the evidence was handled properly. So then that's when the government came out again and said they did like an article or like facts versus fiction, and then this is where they recounted like where they said that the alien bodies were actually the dummies and that people were compressing the timeline and confusing what happened in the 1950s with what happened in 1947.
They probably had an even better story now, you know?
Yeah, and then they did say that it was a cover-up, but it wasn't a cover-up for the flying saucer.
It was a cover-up because they were using balloons, I guess, against Russia during the Cold War to detect like any nuclear activity or whatever, or like
and bombing, I think it was. So the weather balloon can detect bombs or anything from miles away, and that's what they were doing, and that's what they were trying to cover up, so that it was a cover-up, but it wasn't a cover-up for a flying saucer.
So it's like, I guess you can go back now and be like, oh, that's why they didn't want to tell anyone, and they were so fishy, like
so secretive about it.
Yeah. Because they were using it against Russia and probably didn't want that information
to be leaked.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you believe?
I mean, I've always believed in aliens. An alien, like, because there's just so many incidents, you know? There's a lot of incidents, but like, yet all the hard evidence that we have supposedly ever had is just gone. I believe it.
You believe that it was alien
because
cover-up?
like excuse me guys, I'm so full now. Well, not really, I'm still gonna eat this bite, but like Area 51, all that stuff leads me to believe like it's true and that they're hiding something, you know? Like, you can't even step within like feet of Area 51. Like, there's, I mean, what other bases are there like that, you know, that's so secretive? The more secretive it is, the more you want to know. And I just think like there's something that's hiding, and that they've always hidden something from us.
But with the Roswell incident, do you believe it was a alien or UFO cover-up, or do you believe their story?
I think it is, because like, even like how the guy got out and got a new truck and left, you know? They probably paid him to stay quiet.
Yeah.
And how there was so many people that you would believe are people of like good judgment, you know, experts. You had police, you know, these people aren't like people you would say, oh, he's lying or he's crazy. Like, no, it was legitimate people, like people you could believe, I guess, you could trust in their work.
There was this thing that I read. It's just like, journalist was saying that there was 600 witnesses that accounted to the same story, had a similar description of the alien, or quote-unquote alien bodies of the flying saucer. And it's like, if these 600 witnesses would win, having 600 witnesses would win any case court, why is it that people still don't believe it?
That's
you know,
true.
it's like 600 people are saying the exact same thing. Like, how could 600 people be lying and be telling the same story? It's like 600 people would win any case court, right? I mean,
600 witnesses. 600
witnesses saying the same exact story. And it's not like, it's witnesses from
like
civilians to military men. They're all saying the same story, similar descriptions. And it's like, how does 600 people all get together and say, true. Like, let's say the same story?
Yeah, that's true too. Like, in the 600 people, there was everything from, like, you know, the neighbors to the people on the military base. Like, it's ranging. Like, it's all types of people, all types of groups of people. Like, it's not just, oh, the people from that area, like, trying to make a profitable story or something. Like, it was everyone. Everyone saw something in 1947.
Mm-hmm. I just, like, remember this piece too. There was a flight engineer that was also working for the Air Force, and he later came out saying that
there was a crash. Or
no, that he was working in reverse engineering on some aircrafts, and he stated that those were not made by humans, and
because they couldn't crack it or something?
Because it's something that a human could not make. And he was, like, supposedly to reverse engineer to figure out how to make them and all that stuff. So he later came out saying that those aircrafts did not have engines, and he did not know how they were able to fly, and that he wanted to know before he died. You know, something that he said later on after he was not working for the...
He must have spent his whole life trying to figure it out and couldn't. It's above their head, you know.
That's crazy.
But, like, again too, like, if I recall, they were saying something about, like, flying saucer back then wasn't like a real term, you know. They were like, what is this? Like, I think that's where it came from. Like, they were like, maybe people were seeing them a lot or something, and it, you know, it was rumored.
Reported sightings.
Especially New Mexico. New Mexico was really known for that, like, for UFO sightings, and by the masses, not like one person saw it. It was like all the community would see it, you know?
Yeah. I don't know, guys. Tell us what you guys think. Do you guys believe the story that the government was saying that it was a weather balloon, and that they did cover up, but it was a UFO cover up, that it was their their weather balloon that can detect bombings from the Soviet Union? Or do you guys believe it was a UFO cover-up?
I think it was a UFO cover-up.
I believe it too, because it's like there's so many things like that. If it was a weather balloon, that wouldn't have happened. Like for the aircraft specialist, and for him to confuse a weather balloon with a flying saucer or something out of this world,
then he shouldn't be an aircraft.
Yeah, like how are you a specialist or an expert, and he went to like a good school and was working for the government and all these crazy things, or like, then he confused it. Like, that's kind of like, okay, questionable.
I think the strongest point for me, like, besides the what is it, the 600 witnesses, is that like, you know, it was officials that were checking it, you know. It wasn't like just some random person saying, yeah, it's a flying saucer, yeah, it's a flying. It was like competent people, and each and every single one of those people believed it was a flying saucer. I mean, to go right into like, we have a flying saucer in our possession, they were sure they had something. And, you know, like, probably, I don't think they were aware that their upper heads or the government didn't want that out there, you know? Yeah. Until like, oh dang, like they got a call from Big Brother and was like, what are you doing? Yeah. You don't throw that stuff out there, you throw that at us.
Yeah.
Alright guys, well,
that is it for our video. Okay, everybody, bye. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and comment on your videos. Thank you so much.